And request everybody, inshallah, please come closer. Jazakumullahu khair. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فلما استيأسوا منه خلصوا نجيا قال كبيرهم ألم تعلموا أن أباكم قد أخذ عليكم موثقا من الله ومن قبل ما فرطتم في يوسف فلن أبرح الأرض حتى يأذن لي أبي أو يحكم الله لي وهو خير الحاكمين ارجعوا إلى أبيكم فقولوا يا أبانا إن ابنك سرق وما شهدنا إلا بما علمنا وما كنا للغيب حافظين صدق الله العظيم. Honorable elders, respected brothers, we are beginning Surah Yusuf after a few weeks of gap because of the weather and some other programs that were going on. So just to recap, if we cannot let all the brothers come in the middle a little bit, everything looks empty in the middle, inshallah, and come closer, inshallah, participate. Definitely you'll benefit a lot, inshallah, especially in this last session today that we have of Surah Yusuf. I'm not going to complete the entire surah, but the story of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, inshallah, we'll try our best to complete today. And then, inshallah, the remaining few verses, maybe, inshallah, some other time, later time after Ramadan, if we get the opportunity, then we'll go over them. But nonetheless, just to recap from last time, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, being now the finance, the khazain, or he's now the finance minister, and he is the finance minister, and there's a drought, and the brothers come the first time, and he recognizes them, he knows who they are, but they don't realize and they don't know who he is. Today I'm going to speak more in English. Pichli dafa maine Urdu mein thodi si zyada baatein kar li, to our brothers here said that we don't understand Urdu. So I'm going to speak a little bit more inshallah in English, but if need be, just do a little bit of ishara. Now and again I'll speak a little bit of Urdu as well. If I speak too much Urdu, just give me a little bit of wave. I'll come back into English again. So when he was the khazain, then he told them, go back and bring your brother as well. So they go and bring Binyamin. Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam did not want to let him go. He knew that he was beloved, and these brothers, what they did to Yusuf alayhi salam, they might do to Binyamin as well. डर रहे थे कि भाई जिस तरह यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम के साथ बर्ताव किया वही इसी तरह बिन्यामीन के साथ भी करेंगे. तो पहले तो मना किया, इन लोग ने बहुत मनाया. They convinced him and they told him, please, let's go. So he came. Now Yusuf अलैहिस्सलाम wanted Binyamin to stay with him, and he made himself open and made himself aware and in front of known in front of Binyamin, I'm your brother, but I have to keep you here. मुझे यहाँ पे आपको रखना है. अब किस तरह रखे, क्या तदबीर करे? So what did he do? He did a tadbir, he did a scheme or a plot or a plan. You can say a nice word, plan, but it wasn't from him. It was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you should take the suwa' al-malik, which is the cup of the king, and put it into the luggage of Binyamin. Then when they were about to leave, somebody called, ayyatuha al-'ir, innakum lasariqun, you're the ones who stole it. Then talashi li gayi, they took a whole, they investigated and found the cup, and then they said, what did, Yaqub alayhi salam's, the Yusuf alayhi salatu's brothers say at that time? He's a chore, his brother was a chore. He's a thief, his brother was a thief too. So what did Yusuf alayhi salam? He controlled himself at that time. He controlled himself. I'm just recapping from last time. Now they said, what is the punishment? Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam ne unhi se pucha ki iski saza kya hai? What is the punishment for it? So unhone kaha ki he becomes a slave, a ghulam of the person who he stole from. So he said, okay, fine, he's going to stay with me. He's going to be here now. Aap log chahe, you go and go to your father or whatever, and do whatever you want. But he's going to stay here. They said, please, please, take one of us. Let him go. Our father is very old, he's weak, and he's already in distress. Please, why don't you keep one of us? He said, Ma'adallah. Yusuf alayhi salam, how can I keep somebody else when he's the one who stole? जब उसने चोरी की तो हम किसी और को क्यों रख सकते हैं? That doesn't make sense. So now today's ayahs that I just recited, आज की आयत है, अब भाइयों ने क्या किया? Now what did the brothers do? فَلَمَّا اسْتَيْأَسُوا مِنْهُ خَلَصُوا نَجِيًّا. When they had deprived themselves, despaired of him, they lost hope. कि अब उम्मीद छूट गई कि ये तो यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम ये खज़ाइनुल अर्द ये जो अजीज़ मिस्र है, he's the finance minister now, he's not going to let him go. What should we do? उन्होंने यहाँ पे on the side they went and they had a conversation, they had a meeting. Najiya means a secret meeting. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in another place in the Quran al-Kareem that la khayra fi kathirin min najwahum illa man amara bi sadaqatin aw ma'rufin aw islahin bayna nas. Jo secret meetings hote hain, the discussions, quiet behind the room meetings, there's no khair in there if they're talking about other wrong things, about haram. La tatanajaw fil ithmi wal udwan wa ma'siyati rasul wa tanajaw bil birri wat taqwa. Don't discuss things about ithm and isyan and, ghibat and gubshops and, talking about behind somebody's back, this person. No, talk about good things, ithm, taqwa, how to help others. So anyhow, they had to discuss that, what should we do now? So they went onto the side and قَالَ كَبِيرُهُمْ. उनमें से जो बड़ा है, the eldest from them, some say he was the most knowledgeable from them, and they give different names. The name is not mentioned here, but his name was Shamun or Yahuda or whatever the name was. उनका नाम जो है यहाँ पे कुरान में जिक्र नहीं है, लेकिन तफासीर में यहूदा और शमून वगैरह उनका नाम आता है कि उन्होंने कहा, and he's the one, according to many of the tafasir, that when they were going to kill him in the beginning, he said, no, don't kill Yusuf, but throw him into the well. He is the one who gave the mashwara at that time as well. उन्होंने उसी वक्त भी मशवरा दिया था. Anyhow, he says, أَلَمْ تَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ أَبَاكُمْ قَدْ أَخَذَ عَلَيْكُمْ مَوْثِقًا مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَمِنْ قَبْلُ مَا فَرَّطْتُمْ فِي يُوسُفَ. आप लोगों को मालूम नहीं है, don't you know that our father Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam has taken an oath by Allah, Allah की अहद से आपको वादा लिया था आपसे और कहा था कि don't do anything bad. Don't, you failed, जिस तरह आपने यूसुफ अलैहि, the way you failed with Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, don't do the same with Binyamin. Didn't he tell you that? Didn't he take an oath by Allah and tell you this? So they said, of course, he did tell us that. So now what happens is he said, I will not leave. فَلَنْ أَبْرَحَ الْأَرْضَ حَتَّى يَأْذَنَ لِي أَبِي أَوْ يَحْكُمَ اللَّهُ لِي وَهُوَ خَيْرُ الْحَاكِمِينَ. The eldest brother, he was smart. What did he say? He feared Allah. He feared his father. He wanted the love of his father. He said, I will not go. मैं यहाँ से नहीं हटूंगा. I can't go and face my father again. Yaqub alayhi salam, इतने बड़ी उम्र में, what's he going to think? What's he going to say? कि पहले तो यूसुफ alayhi salatu wasalam को घूम खो के आए, you lost Yusuf, and now you lost his brother Binyamin. So I will not go until my father permits me, until Yaqub alayhi salam calls me and says, koi baat nahi beta, come back. Or, you know what? Allah decides for me. He had the taqwa of Allah. They were still children of the Prophet ﷺ. So they said, you know what? I'm not going, the eldest said. अगर आप लोगों को जाना है तो आप जाए, मैं तो यहीं पे रहूँगा. लेकिन आप लोग जब चले जाएं, when you go back, आपके अब्बू याकूब अलैहिस्सलाम को क्या नसीहत करनी है? इरजिउ इला अबीकुम. तुम लौटो अपने अब्बू की तरफ, अपने वालिद की तरफ, अपने बाप की तरफ. Go back to your father. Return back to your father, Yaqub alayhi salam. Faqulu, और तुम सब मिल के ये बताना, and you both, all of you get together and tell him, inna ibnaka saraq. कि यकीनन बेशक, without doubt, your son stole. Binyamin, he stole. उन्होंने चोरी की. वमा शहीदना इल्ला बिमा अलिमना. And we're only witness of what we know. यानी जो हमें बताया गया, what we found, tell the whole story exactly how it was. Don't lie about it. وَمَا كُنَّا لِلْغَيْبِ حَافِظِينَ. And we are not muhafiz, we are not protectors of something that we have not seen. We did not know. हमें क्या मालूम? जब यहाँ पे भी court में जाते, when they go to courts in even today in whatever land, they give you a verdict of whatever proof they have, the witnesses they have, the proof they have. That is why the Prophet ﷺ, ek dafa he was sitting and reclining back. And he says, should I tell you of the Akbarul Kabair? सबसे बड़े गुनाह जो है, गुनाह सबसे कबाइर गुनाह. So he mentioned one or two. And then the third one he mentioned, he says, Allah wa shahadatu zur, Allah wa shahadatu zur, Allah wa shahadatu zur. इतनी दफा लौटाया आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने कि खबरदार शहादत ज़ुर, झूठी गवाही, झूठी गवाही, झूठी गवाही. That the Sahaba said that we wish that he would remain quiet now. झूठी गवाही का मतलब क्या है? Court में you give the wrong testimony. आजकल के ज़माने में if you go outside in some of the courts in the world, you will find people there, you're ready to pay them $50, $100, $200, no problem, I'll become your witness. I will stand up for you. Allah wa shahadatu zur. So upon the witnesses, the proof, the testimony, they will give the verdict. So here, similarly, he said, وَمَا كُنَّا لِلْغَيْبِ حَافِظِينَ. Ghaibana, in the unseen, whatever happened with Yusuf alayhi salam, we don't know. But what we're telling you, O Yaqub alayhi salam, or father, that this is what we witnessed. And he actually stole the Suwa' al-Malik in the cup of the Badshah and the king. وَاسْأَلِ الْقَرْيَةَ الَّتِي. Or agar aap hame na mane, if you don't believe us, ask the gaon, ask the Qarya, meaning Misr, Egypt, where we came from. وَاسْأَلِ الْقَرْيَةِ الَّتِي كُنَّا فِيهَا وَالْعِيرَ الَّتِي أَقْبَلْنَا فِيهَا. या जिस लोग के साथ हम गए हुए थे, the caravan who went with us, ask them. There was about 100 of them, according to some narrations, many of them who went together into Egypt and they came back. He says, وَاسْأَلِ الْقَرْيَةَ الَّتِي كُنَّا فِيهَا وَالْعِيرَ الَّتِي أَقْبَلْنَا فِيهَا وَإِنَّا لَصَادِقُونَ. हम तो बिल्कुल सच्चे हैं. We're telling you the truth. हम इस दफा बिल्कुल भी झूठ नहीं बोल रहे. We're not lying even a single bit. وَإِنَّا لَصَادِقُونَ. We're telling you the truth. قال بل سولت لكم. याकूब अलैहिस्सलाम के ऊपर क्या गुजरती होगी उस वक्त कि यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम भी नहीं और ये बिन्यामीन के साथ भी इस तरह किया उन्होंने. तो उन्होंने अपनी इज्तिहाद, he said this next statement according to his understanding, or because he was emotional at that time, he said بل سولت لكم أنفسكم أمرا. Your souls, your anfus, have enticed you to do something. It seems like आप लोग ने यहाँ पे भी कुछ न कुछ, you have done a little bit some planning somewhere. This is my understanding. فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. This is the second time Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam uses the word فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ here. Khubsurat, beautiful patience. That's what I will have. मैं किसी को शिकायत नहीं करूँगा. I will not complain to anyone. The mufassirun, right? Muhaddithun, right? That sabrun jameel is you don't complain to people. Even though you have the right to complain. لا يحب الله الجهر بالسوء من القول إلا من ظلم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like the person who goes around publicizing loudly, he did this, she did this, he did this, she did this, إلا من ظلم, except for the ones who have been done wrong. जिनके ऊपर जुल्म किया गया, जो मजलूम है, उनको बिल्कुल हक है. They have every right to publicize that this person took my right, this person did this to me, this person did that to me. Everybody, the person who is wronged has a right. Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam had the right to go and complain and tell people what their children did to him. But he said, فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. I will not say anything to anyone. Subhanallah. عَسَى اللَّهُ أَن يَأْتِيَنِي بِهِمْ جَمِيعًا. Perhaps, mumkin hai, perhaps Allah will bring to me all together. Sabko ek saath phir dobara kar denge. He still had yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He had still full hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. عَسَى اللَّهُ أَن يَأْتِيَنِي بِهِمْ جَمِيعًا إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْعَلِيمُ الْحَكِيمُ. He is the one who is knowing and wise. And then he says, وَتَوَلَّى عَنْهُمْ. And then he turned away. Wahan se jab mure, Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, وَقَالَ يَا أَسَفَ عَلَى يُوسُفَ وَبْيَدَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْحُزْنِ فَهُوَ كَظِيمٌ. Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam कहने लगे, या अफसोस यूसुफ के ऊपर, या I'm missing Yusuf. regret on Yusuf. I'm sorry and I'm sad on Yusuf. Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam ko itne, he's not saying Binyamin, but he's saying Yusuf alayhi salam. Itne saal, almost 40 years have gone by. And وَبْيَضَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْحُزْنِ. And because of the gham, because of the grief and the sorrow that he had, his eyesight had become pika ho gaya tha. He had lost his eyesight, or he had become very weak. فَهُوَ قَذِيم. Qadim ka matlab ye hai. What does qadim mean? That when you are extremely angry, قَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ. एक अच्छी आदत जो मुसलमानों के अंदर होना चाहिए, काज़िमीन अल-गैज़, कि even when they're angry, they control their anger. काज़िमीन अल-गैज़. فَهُوَ قَذِيم. He wanted to shout, he wanted to be angry, he wanted to lash out. You know, गुस्से में कुछ न कुछ फेंकना, ये करना, चिल्लाना, मारना. فَهُوَ قَذِيم. He controlled his anger. Control your anger. एक दफा one person came, Ya Rasulullah, awsini. मुझे वसीयत कीजिए या Rasulullah. Give me some very, important nasiha. Give me some advice. Prophet ﷺ says, La taghdab. Don't get angry. Ghussa mat karo. Say, Ya Rasulullah, that's something else. Say, La taghdab. बार बार वही चीज कही. आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के पास मुख्तलिफ लोग आते थे, मुख्तलिफ नसीहत वसीयत के दरख्वास्त करते. They used to ask for different nasiha, and the Prophet ﷺ used to give advice according to the person. In this case, he kept on saying, La taghdab. शायद maybe this person had a lot of anger, बहुत गुस्से वाले होंगे शायद, तो उन्होंने कहा ला तग़दब, काज़िमीन अल-गैज़ वल-आफ़ीन अनिन-नास. जो सूरह शूरा में आते हैं, जो the good akhlaq of a mu'min, one of them is control your anger. So the Nabi Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, فَهُوَ قَذِيب. He suppressed his anger, he controlled his anger. قالوا تالله تفتأ تذكر يوسف حتى تكون حرضا أو تكون من الهالكين. तो यहाँ पे बच्चों ने क्या कहा? What did the son say to Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam here? He said, by Allah, you will keep on remembering Yusuf until you become so sick, and or you may even halikin, तुम halak होने वालों में से हो जाओगे. You will kill yourself, you will ruin yourself, you will perish. या अब्बा तुम क्या कर रहे हो? यूसुफ अलैहि सलातु वसल्लम को 40 साल हो गए. Or bar Yusuf, Yusuf, Yusuf. Every time you're saying Yusuf, Yusuf, you're either going to become very sick or you're going to kill yourself. Don't do this. Forget Yusuf now. So Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam ne kya jawab diya? Innama ashku bathi wa huzni ila Allah. Listen, I'm not complaining to you. Aapne to ye baat sun liya, asafa ala Yusuf. The only person I'm complaining to, the only one I'm complaining to, is my grief to, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, Yusuf alayhi salam, Yusuf alayhi salam, Tallahi Yusuf, Yusuf alayhi salam, Ya asafa ala Yusuf. So he said, I'm not complaining to you. मैं आपको शिकायत नहीं कर रहा हूँ. I would never do that. फसब्रुन जमील. लेकिन my शिकायत, my grief, जब anybody is in grief, यहाँ से क्या सबक मिलता है? Somebody passed away. Allah forbid. Somebody has some illness. Somebody does this. Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam, when he wanted a child in old age, he turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nida'an khafiya. قال ربي إني وهن العظم واشتعل الرأس شيبا ولم أكن بدعائك ربي شقيا. He's making chupke se khamush dua to who? Allah. Ya Allah, at this age, mere baal safed ho gaye. I'm getting old. I'm this, I'm that, I'm weak. Ya Allah, grant me a child. Grant me a child. So Allah granted him Yahya alayhi salam. So it's only between a person and Allah. Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam said, I'm not complaining to you about Yusuf. मैं तो अपने अल्लाह से, अपने रब से जो है मैं गुफ्तगू कर रहा हूँ. Not to you. Then he says, وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And I know from Allah that which you don't know. मैं नबी हूँ, मुझे मालूम है अल्लाह की तरफ से आप जो आप लोगों को मालूम नहीं है. I know from Allah what you don't know. Then he said, يَا بَنِي يَذْهَبُوا فَتَحَسَّسُوا مِن يُوسُفَ وَأَخِيهِ وَلَا تَيْأَسُوا مِن رَوْحِ اللَّهِ إِنَّهُ لَا يَيْأَسُ مِن رَوْحِ اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. उन्होंने फिर क्या कहा याकूब अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम ने अपने बेटों को, या बनी यदहबू, तुम फिर दोबारा जाओ, go and find. He didn't say go find Binyamin. He knew where Binyamin was. He said go find ya bani yadhabu fatahassasu min Yusuf wa akhihi wa la tayasu min rawhillah. Go look for Yusuf and his brother, and don't despair, don't lose hope min rawhillah. अल्लाह की रहमत से ना उम्मीद मत होना. इन्नहु ला ययअसु मिन रौहिल्लाहि इल्ला अल-कौमुल काफिरून. फ़कत जो कुफर करते हैं, जो काफिरीन है, वही ना उम्मीद या मायूस हो जाते हैं अल्लाह की रहमत से. Don't lose hope in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only those who are disbelievers, they lose hope in Allah. Anything happens to us, we should never lose hope in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is for something that happens to us in this dunya. But for the people who are sinning, the people who जो गुनहगार होते हैं, sometimes they lose hope कि यार इतने गुनाह मैंने सरसद किए, अल्लाह ताला मुझे कैसे माफ़ करेंगे. कुल या इबादी अल्लज़ीना असरफ़ू अला अनफुसिहिम ला तक़नतू मिन रहमतिल्लाह. Don't lose hope in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna Allah yaghfiru dhunuba जमीआ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala सारे गुनाह को माफ़ कर सकते हैं. You can forgive each and everything except for shirk. So here he says, don't lose hope in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Go and look for Yusuf and his brother. Then what happens? قالوا تالله قال إنما يا بني يذهبوا. Sorry, I just went a bit here and there. فلما دخلوا عليه قالوا يا أيها العزيز. Now they go back the third time. जब अब्बू ने बता दिया, याकूब अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम told them that go. Now they all went back the third time to Egypt. And they go out to Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam. And they go, Ya Aziz, massana wa ahlana ad-dur. Ajizi say, humbleness, they come to Yusuf alayhi salam, or Aziz. You know, difficulty, dur, hardship has come upon our family. You know, وَجِئْنَا بِبِضَاعَةٍ مُزْجَاةٍ فَأَوْفِ لَنَا الْكَيْلَ وَتَصَدَّقْ عَلَيْنَا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَجْزِي الْمُتَصَدِّقِينَ. And you know, we have come with goods, poor in quantity. हमारे पास थोड़े बहुत दिरहम है, थोड़े बहुत पैसे है. We don't have a lot. Please give us food in you know, the full amount. فَأَوْفِ لَنَا الْكَيْلَ وَتَصَدَّقْ عَلَيْنَا. हम पे सदका कर लीजिए, हमें थोड़ा सा extra दे दीजिए. Do sadaqah on us, give us some food, the full amount, please. We only have a little bit of money left. Inna Allah yajzil mutasaddiqeen. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards the charitable. Jo mutasaddiqeen hote, jo sadaqah karne wale, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards them. Please help us. So at this time, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, I'm going very fast today because I want to finish off the qissa of Yusuf alayhi salam. This is 3 weeks of tafsir I'm doing today in 45 minutes. 3 or 4 weeks. Anyhow, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, भाइयों को क्या करे, हल आलिम तुम मा फ़अलतुम बि यूसुफ व अख़ी इज़ अंतुम जाहिलून. Don't you know what you did with Yusuf and his brother and the time when you were naive? जब तुम नादान थे, जब छोटे थे, और नादानी में जाहिलून का मतलब when you were naive, when you were नादान, do you know what you did with Yusuf and his brother? यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम का क्या किया था यूसुफ के साथ, और उनके भाई बिन्यामीन के साथ भी क्या किया तुमने? इद अंतुम जाहिलून. तो अब भाइयों को it clicked. How does he know what we did with Yusuf? How does he know what we did with his brother? قالوا أئنك لأنت يوسف. भाइयों ने कहा कि are you Yusuf? क्योंकि शक्ल तो 40 साल के बाद उन्होंने देखी. तो أئنك لأنت يوسف? Are you indeed Yusuf? So he said, أنا يوسف وهذا أخي. मैं हूँ यूसुफ और ये है मेरा भाई बिन्यामीन. قد من الله علينا. The first verse he said कि अल्लाह ने हम पे एहसान किया. Allah favored us. He gave us من يتقي ويصبر فإن الله لا يضيع أجر المحسنين. कैसे हमारे ऊपर एहसान किया? Allah did ihsan us by Allah saved me, Allah gave me taqwa, Allah gave me sabr. And indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want the lost. Inna Allah la yudhi'u ajra jo अच्छे करने वाले हैं मुहसिनीन है. Allah does not want their reward to be lost. Allah does not want our reward to be lost. Allah is going to give us our full reward. And Allah has done so much ihsan upon us. But yes, I am Yusuf and this is my brother. Subhanallah. He didn't say, yes, I'm Yusuf. I'm आपको बताता हूँ अभी. No, he didn't say that. قد من الله علينا إنه من يتقي ويصبر فإن الله لا يضيع أجر المحسنين. देखिए करीमाना अखलाक, अंबिया का, नबी का करीमाना अखलाक, the beautiful qualities of a prophet. This is not just a story to go from one year to another. It's telling us how to deal with everyday situations in life. life situations. Imagine how many people are going through difficulty with their families at the moment. Well, one person did to another, one person did to another. Yeah, he did this to me, he did this to me. I'm going to do this. This story brings everything practical in front of our lives, that if somebody does something to us, how should we react? After 40 years, he's saying to the brother, قَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا إِنَّهُ مَنْ يَتَّقِ وَيَصْبِرْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ قَالُوا تَاللَّهِ. The brothers understood. Bhaiya ko bhi aql aayi. قَالُوا تَاللَّهِ, Wallahi, by Allah, لَقَدْ آثَرَكَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا. Allah has given you more preference over us. Allah ne aapko to humse kitna kai darja buland aapne humse tarjih di. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given you such a high position. इतनी तरजीह दे दी अल्लाह सुब्हानहु व तआला ने हमारे ऊपर आपको. हमने तो आपको कुएं में फेंक के आ गए थे हम तो. وَإِن كُنَّا لَخَاطِئِينَ, और हम गलती करने वाले, हमने एतराफ़ कर लिया. We are the ones who did wrong. وَإِن كُنَّا لَخَاطِئِينَ. अब जो अभी मैंने नमाज के बाद मैंने जो कहा था ना, वो जो statement, the sentence, لا تثريب عليكم اليوم يغفر الله لكم وهو أرحم الراحمين. There is no blame today. There is no revenge today. आज कोई मारपीट नहीं होगी, कोई रिवेंज नहीं, कोई इंतकाम नहीं, कोई बदला नहीं. ला तथरीब अलैकुम اليوم يغفر الله لكم وهو أرحم الراحمين. May Allah forgive you, and He is the most merciful and the most merciful. وهو أرحم الراحمين. He is the most merciful. He is أرحم الراحمين. So there is no blame. ये statement, ये जुमला, ला तथरीब अलैकुम اليوم, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam said this at this moment. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam in Fathul Makkah, inshallah in 10-15 minutes I'll try my best to finish off, inshallah. In Fathul Makkah, when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam came back, Fatih hoke jab Makkah Mukarramah mein tashrif laaye wapas, Aap sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Sahaba Ikram radiyallahu anhu, without any bloodshed, they came into Makkah Mukarramah. The picture of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the scenario was that he came on his camel with so much tawadu, so much humbleness, आजिज़ी और इनकिसारी के साथ मुतवाज़िअ होकर आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम मक्का मुकर्रम में दाखिल हुए. यहाँ तक कि इतने झुके हुए, he was bent so forward that his blessed beard is touching the hump of the camel. जो ऊंट का कोहन था उनके साथ दाढ़ी मुबारक जो है लग रही थी. इतने झुके हुए आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम मक्का मुकर्रम में तशरीफ लाए. And the Sahaba came in with him. There was one Sahabi, one of the leaders of the tribes of Medina, Sa'ad ibn Ubadah. Sa'ad ibn Ubadah radiyallahu anhu said to Abu Sufyan उसी वक्त मुसलमान हुए थे, Oh Abu Sufyan, you'll see today. Al-yawm yawmul malhama. आज इंतकाम बदले का दिन है. आप लोग ने क्या किया? What did you do with the Prophet ﷺ when he was in Makkah Mukarramah? What did you do with Bilal? What did you do with Khubayb? What did you do with Ali Yasir? What did you do with Safiya? What did you do with them? You tortured them, you gave them hard time, you gave difficulty to them. Al-yawm yawmul malhama. Aaj aap logon ko pata chalega. You're going to find out what's going to happen to you today. So Abu Sufyan quickly went to the Prophet ﷺ. Ya Rasulullah, Sa'ad ibn Ubadah, this is what he said. Al-yawm yawmul malhama. Today is a day of battle. Today is a day of revenge. Today he's going to, teach us a lesson. So the Prophet ﷺ went with Abu Sufyan, he went to Sa'ad ibn Ubadah and relieved him of his position. And he says, Sa'ad, today is not yawmul malhama, al-yawm yawmul marhama. Lam nahi, ra, marhama. Today is a day of mercy. Today is a day of forgiveness. So, जितने मक्का वाले थे वो आ गए, या रसूलल्लाह, how will you do with us today? आज हमारे साथ क्या बर्ताव करेंगे, क्या मामला करेंगे या रसूलल्लाह? आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, आप तो हमारे बड़े हैं, आप तो हमारे खानदान के हैं, आप तो यहाँ पे बड़े हुए हैं, या रसूलल्लाह, how will you deal with us? What will you do with us? So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, لا تثريب عليكم اليوم يغفر الله لكم وهو أرحم الراحمين. There is no intiqam today, there is no revenge today. The same word that Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam used, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used in Fathul Makkah. And you know who else used this? This Salahuddin Ayyubi rahimahullah, when the crusades were going on. And the name of Salahuddin Ayyubi rahimahullah was also Yusuf. And when the crusades were going in Masjid al-Aqsa, when the Christians came, they killed many, many Muslims and Christians, the Jews, many who were living there at that time. And then after when Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi rahimahullah came and then conquered, he forgave them and he said the same words, "La tathriba alaykum al-yawm, yaghfirullahu lakum wa huwa arhamur rahimin." Even though they did so much bad at that time with the Muslims at that time, he forgave them. So this is a very powerful statement, even in our lives. If we find that somebody has done so many things wrong with us, do we think that somebody can do as much bad as the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam did, with as much as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was tortured from the people of Taif and the people of Makkah? Even at that time, they got the courage to muster say, "La tathriba alaykum al-yawm." और हमारे साथ तो थोड़ा बहुत इधर उधर हो जाता है, जिंदगी भर में उनसे बात नहीं करूंगा. I will never talk to him for the rest of my life. Karimana akhlaq, Nabi ka akhlaq. Anyhow, what they said afterwards, what the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam said, "Idhabu bi qamisi hada falquhu ala wajhi abi ya'ti basira wa atuni bi ahlikum ajma'in." He said, "Take this shirt and put it on the eyes of my father, and he will get his binai back." Now the qamis of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam has come in the story 3 times, and some say it was very special. It was from Jannah, according to some mufassirin. Anyhow, it was a mu'jiza, it was a miracle. Ek mu'jiza tha Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam ka. Bhaiyo ko kaha ki ye le jao abbu ki taraf, unke aankh pe mal do, and what happens? He will get his eyesight back. وَلَمَّا فَصَلَتِ الْعِيرُ. I don't have the internet here. Get me a Quran translation of the Quran. This keeps on going off. You have that? Okay, Jazakallah. Jazakallah khair. Yeah, I got it. It's okay. So, وَلَمَّا فَصَلَتِ الْعِيرُ قَالَ أَبُوهُمْ إِنِّي اذْهَبُوا بِقَمِيصِ هَذَا فَأَلْقُوهُ عَلَى وَجْهِ أَبِي يَأْتِ بَصِيرًا وَأْتُونِي بِأَهْلِكُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. Or jab unki binai wapas aa jaye, then bring your whole family and come back. This is what Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam said to the brothers. Ab to wo log nikal hi rahe the. The brothers had just left Misr to go back to Canaan to bring their father. Itne mein walamma fasalatil ir, and when the caravan just departed, their father Yaqub alayhi salam was hundreds of miles away. Abhi kitne kai so mile jo dur the, mil dur the. And he said, "Inni la ajidu riha Yusuf lawla an tufannidun." Aap log to ye samajhte ho that I'm senile, I'm losing my mind. But I'm telling you, unke saath jitne bhi bhai to wahan pe gaye hue the, but they were coming back. But maybe 1 or 2 brothers were still there, or maybe some other relatives and rishtedar were there. So unhone apne rishtedaron ko ya jo 1-2 bhai honge unko kaha कि la ajidu riha Yusuf. Rih का मतलब कि खुशबू, यूसुफ की खुशबू अभी मुझे पहुंच गई है. अगर आप लोग तो, मैं ये कहूँगा तो आप लोग तो मुझे पागल समझोगे कि मेरे दिमाग जा रहा है. लौला अन तुफन्निदून. You think I'm senile, I'm losing my mind, but I can sense the smell of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. My son Yusuf. قالوا तल्लाहि इन्नका लफी ضलालिकल क़दीम. तो लोगों ने कहा कि तुम पुरानी आदत में ही हो, अभी गलती में यही हो कि यूसुफ अभी तक हयात है. How can you say such a thing? Wallahi, you are in the same error as you were before. Yusuf is gone. Why do you say you can smell Yusuf? And then afterwards, فَلَمَّا أَنْ جَاءَ الْبَشِيرُ أَلْقَاهُ عَلَى وَجْهِهِ فَارْتَدَّ بَصِيرًا. And when the bearer of glad tidings, the brothers came, Bashir, glad tiding. The person who gives glad tiding is Bashir. The Prophet ﷺ was Bashir wa Nadhira. Inna arsalnaka mubashira wa nadhira. He was Mubashir, he was Bashir, he gave glad tiding. Ke bhai, agar tum, if you do good deeds, then you will get Jannah, and you will get so many bounties from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, etc. So when the Bashir came, when the glad tiding came that Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam is alive, and he threw the shirt on the eyes of Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, فَارْتَدَّ بَصِيرًا, his eyesight returned. Imam Bukhari rahimullah ke baare mein, agar if you read the biography of Imam Bukhari rahimullah, I'm sure our Talaba or students, they when they start sort of, Sahih al-Bukhari, they read about it. He was born blind. He was born blind. Imam Bukhari rahimullah. And then the mother made so much dua. He was born a yatim. The father had already passed. But the mother made so much dua for him that in the dream she seen, that his eyesight was returned. And when she woke up, actually he could see again. Binai wapas lotai gayi. It's not impossible. It could happen. So, فَارْتَدَّ بَصِيرًا قَالَ أَلَمْ أَقُلْ لَكُمْ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Didn't I tell you? मैंने आप लोगों को बताया नहीं था? Didn't I tell you that I can sense the rih of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam? And I know what you don't know? मेरे पास वो इल्म है जो वही मुझे बताया गया है. إني أعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون قالوا يا أبانا استغفر لنا ذنوبنا إنا كنا خاطئين. अब जब भाई यहाँ पे याकूब अलैहिस्सलाम के सामने भी सारी चीजें जाहिर हो गई, when it became clear and evident in front of Yaqub alayhi salam, what did they say to Yaqub alayhi salam, their father? Ya abana astaghfir lana dhunubana. Oh father, please forgive us. माफ कर दीजिए हमें, please forgive us. इन्ना कुन्ना खातिन, हमने खता किया, हमने गलत काम किया, या अब हमें माफ कर दीजिए. So what did Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam said? सौफ अस्तगफिरु लकुम. I will make. फौरी तौर पर उन्होंने माफ नहीं किया. It goes soon I will. मुफस्सिरों ने क्यों कहा कि थोड़ी देर बाद? Why after a little while? Sawfa. Why was the word sawfa meaning after a little while I will forgive you? In other words, at the time of tahajjud. Habini, I will wake up for tahajjud. And at that time, I will ask Allah to forgive you. Astaghfirullah lakum. Astaghfiru lakum Rabbi innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. I will ask my Rabb to forgive you, and He is ghafurur rahim. Subhanallah. Abbu Nabi Yaqub alayhi salam ne bhi unko maaf kar diya. And Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam ne bhi unko maaf to Yusuf alayhi salam. Very quickly, inshallah, in 5 minutes, not a lot of time, but I will try my best to finish it off. فَلَمَّا دَخَلُوا عَلَى يُوسُفَ آبَا. Ab jab वापस सारे आए, the whole family came to Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. Yusuf alayhi salam stood outside in istiqbal and welcoming his father and the entire family. Istiqbal में बाहर आ गए, मिस्र के बाहर. और अब्बू को और अपनी जो सोतेली माँ जो है, stepmother, and everyone, he welcomed them, and the brothers as well. فَلَمَّا قَالَ دُخُلُوا مِصْرَ إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ آمِنِينَ. और क्या कहा? उदखुलू मिस्र इंशाअल्लाहु आमीन. ये जो मिस्र है उनके अंदर अमन के साथ, enter into मिस्र with aman, with ease, with comfort. Now अभी भी आप मिस्र जाएंगे ना, अभी via umrah, if you go for Egypt, on the airport you'll say उदखुलू मिस्र इंशाअल्लाहु आमीन. If you go to Egypt airport, it will say उदखुलू मिस्र इंशाअल्लाहु आमीन. But there's no aman. The checkpoint is very rigorous. They're very tough with you. Sometimes they take your zamzam and throw it away. They search you inside out. They give you a very hard time. And I'm thinking, you just said, Udukhulu Misra, inshallah, aminin. So here, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam is saying, Udukhulu Misra, inshallah, aminin. Wa rafa'a abawayhi ala al-arsh. और उन दोनों को तख्त के ऊपर बिठाया, अपने वालिदैन को तख्त के ऊपर बिठाया. Give them honor, give them respect, put them on the arsh, on the throne. And then what happened? وَخَرُّوا لَهُ سُجَّدًا. Jitne walidain, Yaqub alayhi salam, his wife, and the brothers made sajda to Yusuf alayhi salam. Ab yahan pe thodi si wazahat ki zarurat hai. We know that in our Sharia, you cannot make sajda in front of anyone except for Allah. किसी के सामने इजाजत नहीं. तो यहाँ पे क्यों? अब जो पिछली शरीयत थी, the nations before, in their sharia was different from our sharia. There's two types of sajda. One is sajda ta'zim, to honor somebody, and one is sajda for ibadah, for ta'ab. So this sajda was not for worshipping Yusuf alayhi salam, but is for ta'zim. It was for, what was it for? It was for respecting him, giving him honor. Lekin in our Sharia, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said no. You cannot do that. He said in one hadith, and again, if we say this, people might take it out of context, it's discriminatory, this, that. He said, if I was to give, he didn't say I have given. Agar main ijazat deta. If I was to give ijazat, I would give it to the shohar, to the husband, to the wife to make sajda in front of the husband. Sahih hadith hai. But usko bhi maine ijazat, ye jaake apne ghar wale ko mat batana. But this is the way that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if I was to give ijazat to anyone, it would be for the wife to prostrate in front of the husband. But even for that, I have not given ijazat. Shows the honor and the respect, because sajda ta'zim, honor, respect. So he said, I would have given that ijazat, I would have given that permission, but I haven't. Here, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, in some say, in all the Sharia they had this ijazat, but in ours we don't have it. So they, Ya abati, then Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam said, Ya abati, hada ta'weelu ru'yaya min qabl. This is the same, the ta'bir and the interpretation of the dream I seen before. When was this before? Right at the beginning of the surah. رأيت لي أحد عشر كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين. Right at the beginning of the surah, that 11 stars and the sun and the moon making prostration in front of me, sajda, ye jo ta'wil us waqt ki hai jo abhi 40 saal ke baad jo hai, it came into existence. Subhanallah. تأويل رؤياي من قبل قد جعلها ربي حقا, and which my Lord has made it true, and He has shown me the kindness. وَقَدْ أَحْسَنَ بِي إِذْ أَخْرَجَنِي مِنَ السِّجْنِ. Ab uske baad, this is so amazing. I'm sorry, I'm taking a little bit more time, but I have to mention this. If you meet your father after 40 years, father and son meeting after 40 years, if it was us, we would start complaining about, what they did to me? They threw me in the well, then I was sold, then somebody bought me, took me to his house, then in the house I was accused, and then they threw me in the jail. Sari shikayate hum shuru kar de, right? We would start complaining. Abu did this. Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam so beautifully explains to his father without even complaining about his brothers. And he did not start by complaining about being thrown into the well. He didn't want to disgrace it, because he already forgave his brothers. Bhaiya ko to already maaf kar diya unhone, to unhone bilkul nahi shikayat nahi ki, balki unhone kya kaha ke waqad ahsana bi idh akhrajani min as-sijn. He started off with the jail. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ne mere par bada karam kiya. He did so many kindness to me by taking me out of the jail. And then waja'a bikum min al-badwi. And jo hamari tafriq thi, our division, we were so far away. He bought you from the badwi. He bought you from the village here. And we met together. And what did he do after that? Min ba'di an nazagha ash-shaytanu bayni wa bayna ikhwati. After which, between me and my brothers, shaitan had kindled a fire. It wasn't my brothers, it was shaitan who did it. Look at Yusuf alayhi salam, the words he's using. Ba'da an nazagha ash-shaytanu bayni wa bayna ikhwati. Ye job, whatever happened between my brothers, it wasn't because of me or because of them, it was because of shaitan. Subhanallah. Inna Rabbi latiful lima yasha, innahu wal alimul hakim. And shaitan had made a strife between me and my brethren. And you know what? Lo, my Lord is tender, He is latif, and to Him He is the knower and the wise. Rabbi qad ataytani. Ab uske baad jo hai, he makes a dua at the end, inshallah, and I will finish. When he mentions this to the father, the qissa khatam stops here. It is said that Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam shortly after passed away. This is not mentioned here, but in the tafasir. And he made a wasiyah that I should be buried back in Canaan, in Palestine. Abibi, there's a place, Khalil there, and in Hebron, and there's a masjid there, Masjid al-Khalil. It is said that Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is buried there. Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam is buried there. Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam is buried there. And even Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam is buried there. After Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam passed away there, Agar aap bhi ziyarat ke liye jaye, they will take you to that place in Hebron, and you will visit the mazarat of these Anbiya. Allahu alam, but they say it's there. So they go there. What happens is, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, after a few years, he also passes away. And he says, I will be buried here, but when Banu Israel move back, if something happens, then you will take me and you will bury me there in Canaan. So jab Musa alayhi salatu wasalam was from the Banu Israel, who came afterwards, so many hundreds. There was only 100 of the Banu Israel at the beginning, and then the numbers increased to almost 670,000, almost 700,000. At the time when Fir'aun was persecuting the Banu Israel, because the Banu Israel were outsiders, the Coptics were there, the Qibti. So what happens when Banu Israel leaves, according to the wasiyah of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, they take Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam back to Canaan as well. They take the box out and they take them back to Canaan. Now we finish off with a beautiful dua of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. Rabbi qad ataytani min al-mulki wa 'allamtani min ta'wil al-ahadith. That, oh my Lord, you have given me something of sovereignty. You have given me mulk. You have given me kingdom. Rabbi qad ataytani min al-mulk wa 'allamtani min ta'wil al-ahadith. And you have taught me the ta'wil of ahadith, of dreams. Fatir as-samawati wal-ard. You are the creator of the heavens and the earth. Anta waliyyi fid dunya wal akhirah. You are my friend in the dunya and the akhirah. Tawaffani musliman wa alhiqni bis salihin. Give me death as a Muslim and join me in Jannah with the righteous and salihin. Beautiful dua. Tawaffani. So much ajizi, so much humbleness, so much humility, so much shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rabbi qad ataytani min al-mulk wa 'allamtani min ta'wil al-ahadith. Ya Allah, ye to mera koi karna nahi hai. Allah, aapne sab kuch mujhe ata kiya. Aapne mujhe mulk bhi diya, aapne mujhe maal aur daulat bhi di. Ya Allah, to aap ye ilm bhi tumne ata kiya. Ya Allah, everything is from you. Ab mera jab time aaya, waqt aaya, when I need to go from this world, tawaffani muslima wa alhiqni bis salihin. Subhanallah. And the last verse of the surah is, ab kuch ayate aayegi, and in the end, لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي قَصَصِهِمْ عِبْرَةٌ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. In these stories, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, ye qisse jo hai, sunne ke faqat nahi hai. Usme bahut sari ibrate hai, agar jo aqal wale hai, jinke paas thode se samajh booch hoti hai, usme kai ibrate hoti hai, lot of lessons to learn. So many challenges Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam went through from beginning to end. But look at him in the end. La tathriba alaykum al-yawm. Forgiving, never complaining, having sabr. Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam having sabr, sabrun jameel. So many beautiful lessons to be learned in these stories. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the understanding of the Quran al-Kareem. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to follow in the footsteps of the Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unite our hearts, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a connection with the Quran al-Kareem. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the month of Ramadan that is coming, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, make this month the best month of ours, the best time of our life, Ya Allah. Give us Laylatul Qadr, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, grant us the blessings and the barakat of the month of Ramadan, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, this is a beautiful month coming. By next week at this time, we will be fasting and we'll be standing up for Qiyam. Man qama Ramadan wa man sama Ramadan imanan wa ihtisaba ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbi. And how deprived and unfortunate as a person when the Prophet ﷺ made Ameen, Ameen, and went up the 3 steps and he came down. When Jibreel alayhi salam said, woe upon that person, curse upon that person, that he gets the month of Ramadan and he does not gain the forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah save us and protect us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all from maghfur lahum, and those who are forgiven in this month of Ramadan. And please continue to come and have these halaqas of tafsir. Inshallah, Mufti Zakaria Sahib will take over after Ramadan. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, maybe inshallah we'll meet again in the future, start with another surah, maybe Surah Kahf, Surah Maryam, whatever it is. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unite us together and unite our hearts and gather us together in Jannatul Firdaus. And the final thing, I want to mention in the dua of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, the scholars say, you should not wish for death. You should not wish for death. Allah, I want to die. No. You make dua. Allahumma, if so much parishani, you say, Ya Allah, ما كانت أحيني ما كانت الحياة خير لي. Give me life as long as life is good for me. And oh Allah, give me tawaffani ma kanat al-wafatu khairul li. That as when my death, when wafat is good for me, Allah, you know when I have to go from this world. Ya Allah, at that time give. This is a beautiful dua that the Prophet ﷺ taught. आजकल क्या होता है कि ऐसी परेशानी हो जाए तो people start committing suicide and doing all sorts of stuff. ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए, सब्र करना चाहिए, जिस तरह याकूब अलैहिस्सलाम ने सब्र किया, यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम ने सब्र किया. इसी तरह, we learned so many lessons. Like I said today, in today's session, 3 or 4 weeks of tafsir I did in just then, and even that we could do even longer than that. Anyhow, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the understanding and tawfiq. Wa akhir, I apologize for the little bit of delay. Jazakallah to Madina Masjid and the management for giving me this opportunity. Mufti Zakaria Sahab, yeah, I'm a human being. If I said anything wrong or hurt anybody, offended anybody, please forgive me. And inshallah, again, if Allah wills, we'll meet in the future, inshallah. Jazakumullah. Monash, just 1 minute, Monash Shiraz Sahab would like to make a small announcement, inshallah. Jazakumullah.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. On behalf of the management and all of us, we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to Maulana Sahib for sacrificing his time. He comes from all the way of Markham to share his invaluable knowledge of tafsir with us. Alhamdulillah, without any doubt, we have gained a lot of knowledge of Quran, and we have learned a lot. And we will be breaking for Ramadan. We would like to express our gratitude to Maulana for making the sacrifice for our sake and to share his knowledge with us. And we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you immensely. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you with good health and increase you in knowledge. And we look forward, inshallah, to sharing your knowledge with us again in the future. Jazakumullah ahsanul jaza.
Assalamu alaikum. Brothers, please proceed downstairs. There's food provided for everyone, inshallah.